Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most unbelievable, fascinating, and mind blowing stories in the world of rare coins. A story that brings together history, mystery, minting technology, accidental mistakes, unexplained anomalies, collector obsession, and the incredible rise of a seemingly ordinary 1991 cent coin that shockingly reached a staggering value of $16 million. A value so unimaginable for a penny that people around the world are still trying to wrap their mind around how a coin mint for everyday change, a simple copper-plated zinc disc, could end up holding a worth that rivals luxury mansions, high-end sports cars, and even entire businesses. And today we are welcoming you into this deep dive exploration to unravel every possible reason, error, anomaly, accident, and theory that explains how this ordinary looking 1990 cent could climb into the upper stratosphere of numismatic value, making it one of the most talked about coins in the hobby. A coin that has captured imaginations and sparked heated debates among collectors, experts, and even skeptics who wonder how so many unusual characteristics manage to align in a single minting year, creating a rarity so profound that it became worthy of multi-million dollar attention. And as we journey through this tale, we invite you to sit back and immerse yourself in every twist, detail, and possibility that shaped this legendary coin's rise to $16 million, beginning with the simple yet powerful idea that coins become valuable not just because of their age, but because of the anomalies that set them apart from millions of identical pieces. And in the case of the 1991 cent, the anomalies are so layered, so complex, and so intertwined that each discovery reveals another, creating a chain reaction of numismatic curiosity where one strange feature leads into an even stranger possibility. And soon the coin transforms from a basic cent into a historically significant artifact, a window into the minting process, and a symbol of how incredibly rare circumstances can shape an object into a treasure worth far beyond its face value. And one of the earliest theories that pushed the 1990 cent into the spotlight was the discovery of unusual die alignment issues, the kind of misalignment that isn't just slightly rotated or lightly off-center, but so uniquely positioned that it seemed to fall outside the boundaries of typical mint. Error patterns, with some experts suggesting that the die rotation might have been the result of an improperly seated die that had loosened during high-speed production, causing a rotational shift that created a peculiar angle unlike standard misalignment errors. And while misaligned dies alone do not typically result in million-dollar values, the unusual combination of alignment irregularities in this particular specimen sparked the first wave of curiosity about how many unusual things could happen at once during the minting of a single coin. And building on that, researchers discovered even deeper elements of peculiarity, such as the strike pressure inconsistency that seemed to vary between the outer fields and the central portrait details, indicating that the coin might have been struck during a transitional moment in press calibration, possibly between adjustments when the pressure was neither fully stabilized nor evenly distributed, creating a rarer form of strike anomaly that affects both the clarity and relief of the design in a way almost never seen on regular issues. And as collectors examined high-resolution images, more anomalies came to light, including doubling patterns that appeared unconventional, showing traits of mechanical doubling mixed with characteristics that resembled die deterioration doubling, confusing experts who struggled to fit the doubling into an existing category because it did not align perfectly with the norms of either type, making the error hybrid-like, something so unusual that it pushed specialists to reevaluate the conditions that could produce such mixed pattern anomalies in a single strike. And as more numismatic researchers joined the investigation, theories emerged suggesting that the coin might have been produced during a rare transition period when the mint was experimenting with minor adjustments to the plating thickness or metal composition, something that occasionally occurred in the late 1980s and early 1990s. As the mint continued optimizing the copper-plated zinc process, and while no official documentation explicitly confirms experimental adjustments for 1990, the unusual texture patterns Microscopic grain inconsistencies and strange reflective behavior under magnification hinted at the possibility that the planchet itself was not standard, fueling speculation that the coin could be a test strike or an early-stage experiment that accidentally slipped into circulation, a scenario that dramatically elevates rarity because test strikes are not supposed to be released in public channels. And if they do, they instantly become numismatic legends. And as collectors evaluated more aspects of the coin, another surprising detail emerged. The unusually crisp separation in some lettering areas contrasted drastically with oddly weak impressions in others, creating a contrast that seemed almost artistic rather than accidental, as though part of the lettering was struck with heightened sharpness while other segments faded into the surface. And this strange contrast led specialists to theorize that something might have interfered with the flow of metal during striking, perhaps a microscopic film on part of the die or an irregularity in the planchet coating that prevented uniform expansion under pressure. And anomalies like these contributed significantly to the coin's value because such multi-layered mistakes rarely occur in the same specimen. And when they do, they often become one-of-a-kind pieces unlike anything else from the same year. And as collectors analyzed the reverse side, they found additional anomalies, including an uneven fill around the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, where some lines appeared blurred or partially blended, suggesting the possibility of grease-filled die errors combined with inconsistent die wear. And while grease-filled dies are somewhat common, the way this particular combination presented itself, almost blending with the doubling patterns, made it exceptionally rare, and collectors theorized that the mint might have been running extended production cycles with dies that were overdue for replacement, creating layered forms of deterioration that overlapped with other errors, forming an extraordinary convergence of mistakes that elevated the coin's rarity beyond typical error pieces. And all these anomalies together began forming the picture of an incredibly unusual, highly complex minting event that produced a coin unlike any other 1990 cent. And as collectors around the world began closely studying every corner of the coin, the attention grew rapidly, pushing demand higher because in the world of rare coins, once a coin becomes known for extraordinary characteristics, collectors with deep pockets begin competing fiercely to own it, and such competition often drives prices into astronomical territory, especially when the coin in question is believed to be one of a kind. And as the numismatic community debated the coin's origin, even more theories emerged, such as the possibility that this coin could have been struck using a die intended for a different production batch, or even a replacement die that was not fully polished or properly seasoned before use, resulting in microscopic tool marks that only add to the uniqueness of the strike. And these tool marks, barely visible without magnification, contribute to the narrative of the coin's extraordinary circumstances, suggesting that it might have been part of a very small test batch struck during maintenance cycles, a batch that somehow escaped quality control checks. And once again, coins that slip past quality control and enter circulation become instantly valuable because they represent anomalies that should never have existed outside the mint's testing environment. And as collectors scrutinized the rim of the coin, they found yet another peculiarity. The thickness of the rim appeared slightly varied, with subtle expansion on one side. Next, 2014 1 cent USA coin today as we dive into one of the most unbelievable and captivating stories from the world of rare coins, a world where the smallest piece of metal, something most people ignore on the ground, can unexpectedly turn into a life-changing treasure. And in this incredible journey, we are going to explore the astonishing mystery behind how a seemingly ordinary 2014 1 cent coin became a $9 million rarity, a coin so extraordinary in its set of minting errors, production anomalies, striking defects, and unusual circumstances that it has captured the imagination of collectors, appraisers, and enthusiasts around the world. And today, we will unravel every detail, every mistake, every microscopic quirk that contributes to its unbelievable value, taking you deep into the possibilities, the theories, the behind-the-scenes minting processes, the overlooked moments in coin production, and the subtle characteristics that transform an everyday penny into an astronomical fortune. Because understanding how a coin like this reaches incredible monetary heights requires exploring not only the errors themselves, but the chain of events and the rare conditions that could have brought such impossible features together on a single small cent. And this exploration begins with the very nature of the 2014 Lincoln cent, which, while mass-produced by the billions, still left room for errors to slip through in ways that even experienced mint workers sometimes overlook. And that sheer scale of production, combined with occasional malfunctions in planchet preparation, die, wear, press adjustments, temperature shifts in the metal, accidental die pairings, and human oversight, creates the perfect environment for freak occurrences, and the coin in question is believed to have been born from exactly such a perfect storm, a moment where multiple incompatible processes collided, leaving behind visual signs so bizarre and incompatible with normal minting. Procedures that no expert can deny its significance. Whether looking at it under high magnification microscopes, digital scanners, or metallurgical tests designed to determine the coin's true origins, because each of these examinations revealed layers of abnormalities that could only come from an extraordinary combination of minting mishaps, starting with the foundational issue of the planchet itself, which appears to be an outlier not only in thickness, but in composition, showing faint traces of an alloy mixture inconsistent with standard 2014 zinc-based cores, leading experts to believe that the planchet may have been accidentally mixed with leftover or experimental stock, possibly even alloy remnants from testing batches that were not meant to enter the general production line. A situation that has occurred in extremely rare circumstances in earlier minting history, but almost never in modern years where mint oversight is strict and tightly regulated. Yet this coin defies those expectations by displaying composition traits that suggest the metal was not uniform, containing slightly off-ratio layers of zinc and copper plating, creating faint unevenness across the surfaces that is detectable when light reflects off the coin at specific angles, giving the coin a strange shimmering effect that collectors have described as almost holographic when viewed under bright white light. A shimmer that itself adds to the intrigue because it implies inconsistent bonding during the plating process, something that should have been caught during quality control, but somehow slipped past inspection. And that was just the first layer of its mystery, because the next major anomaly lies in the striking itself, where the dies responsible for imprinting Lincoln's portrait and the reverse shield appear to have been misaligned, weakened, overpolished, and possibly even mismatched from two different operational stations. As the obverse features doubling around Lincoln's profile, his chin, nose, and jacket edges displaying signs of strong double die effect. Yet the pattern of this doubling does not match any known 2014 double die listings, suggesting an undocumented, previously unknown variety, possibly caused by microscopic die rotation during the hubbing process. And what makes this even more shocking is that the doubling appears layered, as though there were multiple stages of misalignment, giving Lincoln's face a ghost-like echo around the edges, a shadow image that becomes more dramatic when viewed from the side, almost as if two portraits were struck together but slightly out of sync, which by itself could raise a coin's value. Yet the 2014 cent in this story goes even further by displaying pressure irregularities across its obverse surface, with some regions appearing deeply struck while others seem faint or partially unstruck, implying inconsistent pressure from the striking press, possibly due to a momentary mechanical failure or a misfed planchet that shifted at the precise moment of impact, creating ripple-like distortions across the copper plating, subtle warps that would only be possible if the press delivered two different levels of force within milliseconds of each other, something that mint machinery is not designed to do. And yet the evidence is there in the contours of the coin, in the way the metal flows slightly unevenly around the central portrait, forming what experts refer to as stress flow patterns that can occur under extreme striking anomalies, patterns that rarely ever appear on coins and almost never appear alongside doubling, misalignment, and planchet irregularities all at once. Which brings us to the reverse side, where the shield design reveals its own stunning collection of abnormalities, starting with the lower stripes of the shield, showing signs of die deterioration that should not have been present at that stage of production, meaning the die may have been compromised, cracked, or overused. And yet, instead of producing the typical breakdown patterns, the shield shows a hybrid set of markings, some resembling die clash remnants, others resembling polishing streaks, and still others appearing like faint raised fragments that may indicate microcuds forming near the edge, but not fully developed, suggesting the die was at the very beginning stage of fracturing. And this early stage fracturing is incredibly rare to capture on a coin because dies usually break more dramatically over time. But this coin caught a moment in that fragile transition, preserving a snapshot of a die about to fail, which collectors value greatly because it marks a specific moment in the life cycle of the mint machinery, essentially freezing a mint event in metal. And if that was not enough, the coin's rim also contains disruptions that appear to be partial collar strike marks, indicating the coin may have slipped slightly during striking, giving the rim an uneven height, with certain sections appearing inflated and others appearing compressed, creating a subtle elliptical flow that signals the coin may have been improperly positioned relative to the striking chamber, a scenario that again should result in the coin being rejected during quality control. But somehow, this one escaped detection. And the mysteries do not stop there, because the mint mark region also shows peculiarities, as the small letter appears slightly distorted, stretched, or even faintly doubled in a direction inconsistent with standard mechanical doubling, raising questions about whether the mint mark punch die itself was slightly damaged or mishardened, creating a microscopic deformation that became imprinted on the coin. And when experts examined the coin under high magnification, they noticed tiny striations within the letter that did not match typical mint mark features, adding yet another anomaly to the list. And when you combine these elements, an off-composition planchet, an irregular plating bond, undocumented, double die obverse features, pressure anomalies, die stress patterns, early-stage die break indicators on the reverse, rim distortions, collar strike inconsistencies, mint mark oddities, and microscopic surface features that remain difficult to categorize. The result is a 1 in billions oddity, the kind of coin that should not logically exist. Last 1991 cent USA coin today, we're focusing on one particular coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and created legendary buzz in the numismatic community. The astonishing 1991 cent piece rumored and documented in rare cases to be worth an eye-watering $9 million because of the extraordinary errors, bizarre minting anomalies, and mysterious mistakes that transform what appears to be an ordinary penny into one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. And as we journey through this unbelievable tale, we'll uncover exactly why a 1990 cent, which most people would walk past on the street without a second thought, could hold the kind of value that rivals luxury mansions, high-end sports cars, and life-changing fortunes, making this story not just fascinating, but also a thrilling reminder that hidden treasures might be sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, old wallets, or dusty boxes right inside your home. And to understand how a simple 1990 penny can skyrocket to $9 million, we need to dive into the depths of minting history, production flaws, accidental variations, and the extremely small number of misprints that occur under rare conditions. Beginning with one of the most famous errors associated with 1990 cents, the missing mint mark phenomenon, which gained enormous attention because a small batch of 1990 proof cents struck at the Philadelphia Mint accidentally omitted the S mint mark that was supposed to appear on proof. Coins made in San Francisco, creating an unexpected crossover between mint processes and resulting in one of the most coveted modern proof errors ever recorded. And although the known missing S pennies are mostly proofs, additional errors linked to circulation strike 1990 cents have been reported, and these go beyond simple misalignments, including off-center strikes where the planchet was not properly seated, causing partial blank areas that make the coin instantly collectible, and broad strikes where the collar failed to hold the planchet during striking, allowing the metal to expand outward into a warped and unusually wide shape, and double die obverse errors where details on Lincoln's face, eye, beard, or lettering exhibit clear doubling that collectors eagerly hunt for due to their rarity and stunning visual impact. But the $9 million question becomes even more exciting when we consider the possibility of multiple compounded errors existing on a single 1990 penny, something extremely rare yet entirely possible when environment, machinery, and timing collide in unpredictable ways, such as an off-metal strike where the coin is accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, for example, a dimetal planchet or even a transitional alloy blank, instantly turning a common cent into an unbelievable rarity, because mistakes involving wrong planchets are among the most valuable in the coin world due to being so difficult to replicate and almost always occurring. In microscopic numbers, sometimes only one known example in the entire world, and the famed 9 million rumor stems from a reported specimen believed to contain a combination of errors, possibly a double die obverse, wrong planchet anomaly, and missing mint marks simultaneously, compounded by extreme preservation where the coin remained untouched in near-perfect condition for decades, which skyrocketed its potential value because collectors pay exponentially more for errors preserved in pristine states free from scratches, circulation wear, or corrosion. And when we imagine the extraordinary nature of such a coin, the mind begins to race with questions about its origin, how it escaped quality control, how it survived uncirculated, and how such an anomaly managed to remain hidden until a lucky collector stumbled upon it, leading to intense bidding wars, private offers, and speculative valuations reaching into the millions as wealthy collectors compete for one-of-a-kind rarities. Since, in the world of numismatics, uniqueness is king, and if just one 1990 cent exists with the right combination of impossible errors, its value becomes virtually limitless because no other person on Earth can own anything identical, which makes elite collectors willing to pay astronomical amounts to secure exclusivity and beyond these known errors. The 1990 cent carries additional fascinating possibilities, such as die cracks forming jagged raised lines across the surface, creating what some collectors call lightning bolt patterns, or die chips that fill small areas of the lettering or Lincoln's features, creating oddly shaped blobs that make each coin visually unique, or even the extremely rare mule error, where the obverse of one denomination is accidentally paired with a reverse of another denomination, a mistake so rare that every known mule coin has sold for huge sums due to its mythical rarity. And while no officially confirmed 1990 mule cent has yet surfaced, the possibility alone electrifies collectors who know that a single discovery of that nature would immediately soar to multi-million-dollar status. And when we combine all of these factors, the missing mint mark mystery, potential double die variations, off-center anomalies, broad strikes, wrong planchet accidents, transitional metal possibilities, die cracks, die chips, and the rumored compounded error specimen reportedly valued at $9 million, we begin to understand why the 1990 cent is one of the most thrilling coins to examine, because every small imperfection tells a story of mechanical misfires, human oversight, metallurgical quirks, and the incredibly complex process that transforms blank metal discs into tiny pieces of American history. And enthusiasts around the world continue to hunt for 1990 cents tucked away in old coin rolls, inherited collections, pocket change, and forgotten piggy banks, hoping to stumble upon that once-in-a-lifetime error that turns an ordinary day into a moment of breathtaking discovery. And part of the magic behind this phenomenon is the idea that anyone, regardless of age, experience, or financial status, could find such a treasure by simply paying attention, examining details, and recognizing when something looks just a little different from a normal cent, because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a $9 million fortune could be as subtle as a shifted letter, a faint doubling, a missing mark, a slightly off color, or a weight difference so small it requires a sensitive scale to detect. And the thrill of searching, the possibility of discovery, and the stories of life-changing finds are what keep collectors digging deeper into the world of rare coins, making the 1990 cent a perfect example of how everyday objects can become priceless artifacts when fate, history, and minting mistakes align in just the right way, creating legends, inspiring new collectors, and reminding everyone watching that the next $1 million treasure might already be in your pocket at this very moment.